Welcome, folks. You know what? I think that we are going to see very soon a situation where Steve Cohen and the New York Mets are going to be opportunistic. We've been hearing this for the last 6 months that the New York Mets are going to do things differently, but they're going to be opportunistic. And everyone's wondering, what does that mean? What does opportunistic mean? Well, I think we're about to find out potentially, and that may become in the form of signing a guy like Jordan Montgomery. Now, we see that the Jordan Montgomery market, just like the markets for other Boris clients, have gone haywire, have gone to hell. What Boris has projected for these specific players has not happened. This is not how Boris has drawn it out. Spring training has already started. Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery don't want to be sitting on their couch. They want to be in camp. The fact that these players are not signed is advantageous to teams looking to get better, but hurts these guys tremendously. Don't let it fool you. Of course, there's rhetoric out there saying, pro Boris saying, yeah, it's all part of the plan. Boris knows what he's doing, but there are freaking five phenomenal players. Phenomenal players. Yes, they have floors, but these guys should all be signed by now. Okay, now that's point one. Point two, we are going to examine Jordan Montgomery going to the New York Mets. Yes, it is a possibility. It 100% is. First of all, David Stearns, for all of you saying, hey, you know what? I haven't heard a thing. Well, you're not supposed to hear a thing, okay? That's how it's supposed to work. You're not supposed to hear a thing. But we are going to go over the Jordan Montgomery market, and we are going to go over reasons why I believe Jordan Montgomery is a high possibility for the New York Mets. And first, I want to go over what the biggest problem is for Jordan Montgomery now. What the biggest problem is. Before I get into that, as always, if you could like, subscribe, support the channel. If you like interesting MLB Mets content, this is your place. Continue to like, subscribe, and share. Okay, so we're going to get into the biggest problem why a guy like Jordan Montgomery is not signed and why he may not be signed for quite some time. Okay, so Jordan Montgomery, according to ESPN, last year was the 21st best pitcher in all of Major League Baseball. The 21st best. So he wasn't top 5. He wasn't top 10. He wasn't top 15. He wasn't top 20. If you go to his Baseball Savant, which we'll probably examine, he doesn't have lights out stuff. He does excel in pitching run value. He is in the top echelon, but besides not walking guys, his numbers don't blow you away. They don't. So he was ranked by, like I said, he was ranked as the 21st best pitcher, and his numbers last year were good. The performance in the postseason has kind of catapulted him to a different level. But last year, I would say the closest guy that I could find to his level that signed recently was Chris Bassett. Chris Bassett, according to these metrics, was ranked the 20th best pitcher. Chris Bassett recently signed a contract last season with the Toronto Blue Jays. Chris Bassett is a couple years older, but based on numbers, and I believe Chris Bassett, I would prefer him if I'm picking one of the two. But Jordan Montgomery is a little younger, but these two guys are very similar. So let's look at the contract that Chris Bassett just got. So he just received a 3-year contract worth $63 million, average annual salary of $21 million. Now, all of you, and I'm pretty sure every one of you Mets fans, MLB fans, if you had a choice to sign Jordan Montgomery for 3 years at $63 million, we'd all jump in it. And even if you want to say, hey, Jordan Montgomery's younger, he should be signing for longer. If you want to say he should be getting 4 years at $21 million, and you want to bump that up, or even 5 years and bump that up at $105 million or $110 million, okay, that's fair. The rumor and the problem is Jordan Montgomery was looking upwards of 6 to 7 years and up north of $150 million. So that is the problem. We have seen a market set last year for a guy with similar talents and a guy who I think has more talent. Has more talent. Now, if you compare the baseball savant, they're fairly similar. Chris Bassett does excel in pitching run value as well, but that's where I feel the market is. Scott Boras has grossly overrated the market, and contracts of the past are coming back to bite teams. Like the most recent contract of Xander Bogaerts, teams are coming to regret that. And I think Scott Boras thinking that he's going to get a Xander Bogaerts contract or he's going to get a contract of yesteryear, yesterday. It's just not going to happen. The numbers, the metrics are so damn good these days that Scott Boras used to sell you with numbers that actually say his players are the best. Well, we have numbers that say your players aren't the best. So we're going to look at the teams right now that are currently in the Jordan Montgomery market. So we're going to go over that right about teams right now that are willing to make Jordan Montgomery an offer. The team that has been bandied about in the last couple of days was the Phillies. The Phillies are interested in Jordan Montgomery. They are at this point. But here's the deal. And this is most recently, this was reported by Todd Zalecki, reported that the Philadelphia Phillies are interested in signing Montgomery, but they are not interested in going long term. Philadelphia would take the left-hander on a 1 or 2 year deal, but he isn't ready to sign that. Jordan Montgomery's not ready to sign that. And you see, Philadelphia is willing to do something like I mentioned with Toronto. Toronto signed Chris Bassett to a shorter term deal. Maybe the middle ground would be that 3-year contract that Chris Bassett signed, but it doesn't look like Jordan is ready to do that. So, on November 6th, 2023, going back in time, Tim Diacos, Anthony Franco, and Steve Adams of MLB Trade Rumors projected the starter would land a 6-year contract worth $150 million this offseason. And on November 9th, Kylie McDaniel predicted he would secure a 5-year, $106 million contract. Bottom line is things have drastically changed, and that was the market. These people projected that because that was what was hard. That was what was bandied about. That's what Scott Boras said. This is what it's going to have to take if you want the services of Jordan Montgomery. Now, who are still interested in of this guy? Who's still interested? We see the Rangers. The Rangers have been a team that Jordan Montgomery wanting to go to, but until very recently, the Rangers seemingly have pulled out. They said, hey, you know what? We are done for business right now. Chris Young, the general manager, says, I don't think there are any additionals coming to this point. So Chris Young, general manager, says we're done. Another team that has been interested are the Boston Red Sox. The Boston Red Sox have repeatedly looked into the Montgomery situation. They wanted to feel this thing out, but according to John Morosi, John Morosi recently wondered, I wonder if the Red Sox could make a late push by clearing salary with the Kenley Jansen trade. So it seems like there are moving pieces that would have to take place. And, if you paid attention to how the Boston Red Sox have done things, they've recently fired a Chaim Bloom. Chaim Bloom was doing things more along the lines of like David Stearns and the Rays cutting payroll. But the Boston Red Sox, they're looking for a big splash. They're looking for a big splash. So could they do Jordan Montgomery? I think that Jordan Montgomery, at the end of the day, wants to go back to the Northeast. He wants to go back to either New York. I think he would sign with the Red Sox, but I'm not sure the Red Sox would be willing. And that's where all roads kind of lead back to Mr. Steve Cohen. Really, if there's no team out there willing to give this guy around $20 million in 3 years, I would do a contract like that. I would do a Chris Bassett contract for Jordan Montgomery. I would do it in a second. And I think that this is what David Stearns is doing. I think David Stearns is correctly assessing the market, and he will make a contract that basically is indicative of the market. If there's no competition, he's not going to bid against himself like we've seen in the past. That is just stupid. We're not going to see that from a guy like David Stern. And I'm glad to actually think that of my general manager slash president of baseball operations. So great, great. Okay, so when is this all going to come about? It's already February 21st. Pitchers and catchers have already reported. In fact, most players have reported to the team. Usually, it's been said that a pitcher needs at least 5 starts so that he's going to be ready for opening day. Now, here's the thing. I think I would have to surmise that a guy like Jordan Montgomery, he's 31 years old. He's not a spring chicken. I would have to think that he doesn't want to compromise his season, really. So if he signs 2 weeks from now, his season will be compromised. He will. So I think that has to happen within the next week or two. Really, anything beyond that would drastically compromise the season for the team that's going to be signing him, and that would in turn compromise how much he's going to be making for the upcoming season. So it would be counterproductive if you're looking for more money and if you're looking for future success. Okay, so let's just wrap this up. You have the Red Sox potentially interested. I would rank them as basically depending on what they decide to do. Them and the Mets are favorites. The Phillies don't want to go past 1 or 2 years. I think it's going to take more than 2 years. It's not going to be that 5-6 year contract that we initially surmised or supposed, but I think it's going to take around 3 years. Chris Bassett money, around 3 years, $63 million. I think that is what's going to get it done. And the thing that I like about Jordan Montgomery and the thing that most folks like about him is he has proved to the world that he is a guy who can perform when the lights are the brightest. He, obviously won a World Series with the Texas Rangers. And if you pair him with a guy like Kodai Senga, that could be construed as a two-headed monster. And if you get a Luis Severino or a Sean Manaea, even if one of those guys, turn back, I don't want to say turn back the clock, but figure out what went wrong, you have 3 starting pitchers who are actually good. And then if, the other 2 pitchers, you have depth. You got Adrian Hauser, obviously. Sean Manaea, like I just mentioned. If you get anything from, your back end of your starting rotation, the sky's the limit. All right. So that is just my, me going through what's going on with the Boras situation. Those are just my opinions. Drop a comment. I want to hear what you think. Is Jordan Montgomery a possibility? When you hear Steve Cohen saying he's going to be opportunistic and David Stern saying they're going to be opportunistic, do you think Jordan Montgomery is a potential guy? I haven't mentioned Blake Snell because I don't think Blake Snell was ever on the table. When you talk about pitching run value is affected tremendously for guys who can't control the plate. And we have guys in the bullpen already that have a lot of control issues. So getting a guy like Jordan Montgomery, he's not a strikeout guy. He's not a Blake Snell, but he's a guy who can command the plate. He has a 93 mile per hour fastball. I believe Blake Snell's like a 94.5 or a 95, so a couple ticks higher. But Jordan Montgomery, I think he is still on an upward trajectory. I think he is a bit of a late bloomer. So, I think there's still a lot of potential there. Again, drop a comment. Let's go Mets. We're going to have a lot of videos coming. The season, obviously, is going to be in full swing very soon. Thank you so much for everything. I appreciate each and every one of you. Appreciate the support. I will speak to you very, very soon, and have a great day.